Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about a story from the book of Judges. Is Judges in the Old or the New Testament? That's right, it's in the Old Testament. So Judges were people that God chose to lead in the times in the Old Testament. So we're going to hear about one of the judges, Gideon, today. This story is found in the Bible in the book of Judges. It happened at a time when enemies of Israel kept attacking them and stealing their crops. Gideon was afraid of the enemy soldiers, but God asked him to be brave and become a commander of an army who would protect his people. Gideon was scared and asked God, "If you really want me to lead an army, please show me a sign. Look, I have a sheep fleece here, all dry and woolly. I will leave the fleece here on the ground for the night. In the morning, if the ground is dry, but the fleece is wet, I will lead the army." Sure enough, the next morning, Gideon felt the ground and it was dry, but when he lifted up the fleece, it was wet. But Gideon still did not believe God would help him lead an army to defeat their enemies, so he asked God to give him another sign. "This time, if I leave the fleece on the ground during the night, if the ground is wet, but the fleece is dry, I will lead the army for you." Sure enough, the next morning, the ground was wet, but the fleece was fluffy and dry. Gideon was now sure God wanted him to lead an army, so he got a sword and gathered soldiers. Gideon had to keep trusting God, and God gave him great victory. He and his army won because he obeyed God and did what God told him to do. Gideon didn't feel like he was a leader, and I feel like a lot of times in our lives we don't feel like we're leaders or that we're supposed to do something great. And he wanted a sign from God, and his sign was kind of weird with the wet and the dry fleece. That's kind of a weird thing to think of as a sign. But signs can be all sorts of things. Sometimes we may be getting a sign from God and we have no idea that's what it is. We don't really know that God's asking us to do something in our lives. It might be really subtle, or it might be something obvious. You never know. But God has a plan for all of us, and at some point in our lives, God's probably going to give us a sign to push us in the right direction. We just don't know if we'll recognize it or not. So it's important to remember that God is active in our lives, and we are meant to do things for the glory of God. So let's make our craft. This craft, we're going to want white paper, some colored paper that make a good eye color, a marker, and a pair of scissors, and a glue stick. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold my white paper in half, hot dog style. And then I'm going to cut a half circle. This will be my eye. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my colored paper. I'm going to fold it in half. This time I'm going to cut out a circle. This. And I'm going to glue that down in the middle. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to draw the pupil in the middle of the eye. You can add some eyelashes up at the top. And there's our eyeball. So then we're going to put a Bible verse on it. And I'm going to put faith is being sure of hope and certain of what we do not see. And that is Hebrews 11:1. So there is my fun this week. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in Sunday school. Bye!